you can wind up talking about anything in a poetry class because people will write about everything in their lives, stuff you would think you would never be discussing in a college classroom. And pretty soon it's like all on the table.
Climbing a pole drunk, falling off.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Greg Brownderville Dimension. Well, we have a new member of the GBD team here today, my friend and former student, Nicole Morris. Nicole, why don't you introduce yourself, say a little bit about how we met and how you wound up here.
Well, I'm Nicole. I'm a student at SMU, an English major, not by choice, but by passion. I met Greg. I don't want to say Professor
It's the first
Greg.
time she's ever called me Greg.
In my creative writing class, and it was a poetry class, and I wasn't really sure if I was going to do that. I was totally thinking I was going to drop it. But it ended up being a great experience. I'm an amateur poet now. But yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
I just noticed in class, so most of y'all know I teach at SMU, teach creative writing, and so when Nicole was in the class last semester, I just noticed that every time she talked, it sort of like made the room light up and people were likelier then to jump into the discussion. I was like, she's good at like getting some conversation going. So then that got my wheels turning. I thought, I should get her out here for some GBD recordings. And wasn't it your dad that talked you into staying in the class? Because poetry wasn't you didn't think it was something you were super interested in.
No. I thought when I was in the introduction creative writing classes, my poems were not great. I didn't enjoy it, but I really enjoyed short stories. And when I signed up for this class, I don't think it had poetry on it. I think it was kind of like a clean
creative
slate.
writing workshop.
Yeah. So then when I got in it and you're like, all right, we're going to be writing a lot of poems. I was like, no, I'm not going to be doing that. No, thank you. I mean, it obviously looked fun. He handed out some little poetry journals and everything. But when I talked to my dad about it, he's like, you got to at least just write one poem. You got to stick it out for 1 week, see how you like it. And the students in the classroom were really fun and inviting. And I actually ended up enjoying writing my poems. So he pushed me to stick with it, and I'm happy that he did.
And a creative writing class is good preparation for doing a podcast that's kind of a freewheeling discussion because you can wind up talking about anything in a poetry class because people will write about everything in their lives, stuff you would think you would never be discussing in a college classroom. And pretty soon it's like all on the table.
Climbing a pole drunk, falling off.
We had all kinds of stories. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. We had some really interesting poets come in, and I think that it was really nice to see their energy and how down to earth they were, because I can't speak for everybody, but I know for myself I was a little bit nervous to see, an actual writer, a published author, but they were just as human as us and, like to crack jokes like everybody else, so it was a really, really nice experience.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the guest poets when they came in. And I gave y'all some breaks in the semester.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we were lucky enough to get a full week off of class. Greg let us know beforehand a couple weeks. It was like, you guys aren't going to have a class this weekend. And we all cheered in success.
Let it be said, we only met once a week.
Yeah.
So
For 3 hours.
For 3 hours. And so by missing a full week of class, we're talking about missing a day of class, but it's the only day that week. So it is a whole week.
Yeah. And it's a long class after a long day. I know from myself, I had 2 classes before that. So, or no, did I? I don't know.
Did I tell y'all why at the time?
Yes. Okay. So you told us that you were going on a trip to Wales. And I remember being really interested in that, but there never seemed to be a good time to bring it up and ask, what was that trip like? So, please, what brought you there, and what was kind of your experience?
Yeah, well, my good buddy Kyle and I are working on this project that's kind of around this idea of what they call the ritual year. there's a famous historian that I've interviewed on this channel named Ronald Hutton, who's probably the world's foremost expert in the British ritual year. And by this, we just mean the way that different times of the year, different seasons, different moments are celebrated through customs, celebrations, obscure holidays. And I love these obscure folk customs in Britain. Just from the first time I started reading about them, I was obsessed with that. And so Kyle and I are going around Britain, mainly rural England and Wales, just exploring these celebrations that might happen in only like a given one of these may happen only in one village or maybe two villages. Be very limited geographically. And yet, if you talk to the folks who live in those towns, those celebrations are. It's unimaginable to have the year without them. In the same way that if I said, what would it be like without Halloween or Christmas or something, to somebody here in the States. So yeah, though that trip was actually to England because we were going to a place called Hinton St. George to experience a holiday called Punky Night. But I know what you're thinking about with Wales because over the Christmas break, Kyle and I, we went to Wales and we did make one brief foray into England on that trip, but the vast majority of it was in Wales. And it gets to something that I've been thinking about a lot that has to do with travel, how to make travel optimally meaningful. Mm-hmm. And have you ever been on a trip and you almost felt an obligation to do a certain thing in a town because it's like what you have to do if you go there. It's like it's what everybody does. Mm-hmm. Like going, like have you had travel experiences like that?
Absolutely. I had an 8-hour layover in London, and we had to hit all of the classics: Buckingham Palace, Big Ben, other various stuff.
The London Eye.
We saw it from afar.
That was enough. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I totally understand.
Yeah, like I went to Italy a couple years ago, and I felt this obligation to myself to go to the Sistine Chapel, and it's not that I regret it, but I didn't actually have that good a day doing that. I kind of felt like I was being herded through there. And then once I got in there, it's just like packed with people.
It's loud.
Very difficult to achieve any kind of contemplative moment with the art. I mean, you almost felt I think I was doing it almost out of a sense of obligation to myself. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I don't really want to travel like this anytime soon again, And when it came to this Wales trip, there were a number of things that fascinated me that I want. And we did do a lot on that. We were there for something like 3 weeks, We were there a long time. And so we saw a lot. But just to give you an example, like the Welsh fairies are called the Tylwyth Teg, and which just means something like the fair tribe, the fair family. Teg means fair, and Tylwyth means like family or tribe. Mm-hmm. And I had read some stories about this, and one thing that really piqued my interest, captured my imagination, is that I had found this one story that said that the homeland of the Tylwyth Teg is in the sea. And you can't see it. Like if you were standing on the shore and you looked out, you couldn't see it, even though you're looking like right in its direction. Mm-hmm. And the reason you can't see it is that on the island where they live, there are invisibility herbs.
Oh.
Which was just the phrase alone, like, captured my imagination.
What
it's
is
like
that?
Invisibility herbs.
Yeah.
But then there's a story that in one location on the mainland, there's a patch of ground where the invisibility herbs grow. And if you can find it and stand on it, you can look out and see the island of the Tylwyth Teg.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is, only one person at a time can do it. Only one person can stand there at a time. And we're talking about a small piece of earth, like a patch of turf, like not much bigger than your, just sort of maybe a couple of 3 or 4 feet, or only like imagine enough ground for your feet, to stand there comfortably, that kind of thing. And actually, one account of this is like, okay, the one piece of ground where you can stand on and see the Toltec homeland is in the churchyard of a beautiful cathedral called St. David's Cathedral in Pembrokeshire, in Wales. And then another version of the story said that the one place you can do this is in a place called Chemais, which is not far away in that same area of Wales.
Chemais.
Chemais, a weird word.
Yeah.
The Welsh language is strikingly different from English.
Yeah.
And so, and Kyle and I decided, well, let's try the St. David's Cathedral one. It's a little bit, because Chemais is a larger area and you could just be wandering around all day, Mm-hmm. But I mean, I really was serious about this. Like it was in my head, I'm going to find the patch of turf.
The invisible herbs.
Yeah, I'm going to find that place. Mm-hmm. And we went out there like earnestly, sincerely, hoping for that.
Did you think that you were going to see the island, or?
Yeah, here's what I thought. I'm going to find the patch of turf. I'm going to stand there. Here's what's interesting. When you look out, you can't even see the sea from that churchyard. I mean, you can't. There's no view to be had of the sea from that churchyard. So how in the world could you possibly?
The invisibility herbs.
Yeah, it's just mad. The whole thing is magic. Mm-hmm. And it's logical. It's not illogical or logical. It's it doesn't even, has nothing to do with regular logic.
Yeah.
And so we went out there and we had been seeing seagulls like alighting in the churchyard, mm-hmm. on the ground. And lo and behold, I'm walking around and I see like a white feather that may have been from one of the gulls. And that's sort of a message from the sea, because the gull came from the water. And so I thought, well, let me go stand behind, this could be a sign. Let me go stand behind this feather. And I did. And I looked out in the general direction of the sea. And I did see something, but I didn't see what I was hoping to see. So I did not see the kingdom of the Toltec.
Okay.
What I saw was what appeared to be dark drops falling through the air, and then what looked like waves of water kind of swaying like this. And you could have thought of it as like gowns, like sheer whitish, clearish kind of see-through, like sheer gowns, like doing mm-hmm. this. Or I could see that plainly when I stood behind that feather and looked out. That's what I saw.
Wow.
And so it's anybody's guess how to interpret this. Does anything come to your mind? I'm just wondering what would you think in that situation
of the sea? Like, okay, so wait, let's go a little bit deeper than I think. So you looked out mm-hmm. and you saw. Do you see the sea? But
can't see the sea.
You can't. So what are the droplets, do you think?
And it looked close too. It almost looked like this was happening in, like, I don't know, maybe 20 feet away from me, 30 feet. Like it looked like it was in the air above the ground of the churchyard. Like I saw these wavy, misty things and then like dark drops coming down. And then interestingly, I said, Kyle, come over here and see if you can see this. So I moved out of the way, and he stood there. And I moved off to the side. And because I had heard in the story that only one person at a time can see it. But what was interesting is when I moved away, I was still seeing everything I had been seeing. Mm-hmm. And I said, Kyle, do you see anything? And he's like, no. And then a little bit of time went by, not many seconds, 10 or 15 seconds probably. And he said, oh, I do see something. And then when he said that, I was no longer able to see anything. Oh. And I said, what do you see? And he was like, I just see those dark drops, but I don't see the wavy thing. Mm-hmm. But it did appear to be the case that only one of us at a time could see this. And Kyle was like, good eye on the gull feather, because, we were just wandering around like totally clueless,
Absolutely.
And so one thing that I failed to tell you, I should have told you this at the beginning, is that what the story said is that because of the invisibility herbs that grow on this magical island of the fairies, when you look out at the island, instead of seeing the island, you see mist. You see, like, they described it in the story that I read as like misty rain or mist and rain or something like that. You just see wateriness and a kind of, just mistiness and wateriness instead of the kingdom of the fairies.
Wait, so because of the invisibility herbs, well, now, okay.
It's confusing, right?
It is confusing. So you're supposed to be standing on the thing to see the kingdom.
That's right.
But instead you could also just be seeing mist?
Yeah, that's right. But see, this is the confusion that I see on your face right now is exactly the confusion that I had.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second now. Like, before I stood behind that gull feather, I didn't see anything. I mean, I just saw what you would normally see out there at St. David's. I saw the trees, I saw the church, but I didn't see anything unusual or unexpected. But what the people in the folktale had said is that when they looked out towards the home of the fairies, they did see mist. They saw that before finding the magical piece of ground.
I see.
I had to wait in order just to see that. In order not to see,
Yeah.
like, actually, in a way, you can think of it that way, I had to get on the special piece of turf. So it made me think about this Philip Larkin poem. Have you ever perhaps come across, it's not that famous, but there's a Philip Larkin poem, is an English poet, called Church Going.
I don't think so.
The idea in this poem is this guy who's like living in the 20th century and in what he feels like is kind of a post-Christian or almost post-Christian Britain. Britain is markedly less religious than the United States, and especially in Christian circles. It's like church attendance is quite a bit higher here. It's declining here, but it really has declined there. And he's going out there in the poem, the speaker goes out to this old church, Anglican church probably, and is it Anglican or Catholic, one or the other? And he is kind of just poking around and almost speaking dismissively of it, like, we don't even really know what this building, like, we barely know what this thing is for. And in the future, people aren't going to have a clue. They're going to look at this kind of the way we might look at this fairy lore.
Right.
And at one point in the poem, he says, after dark will dubious women come and make their children touch a particular stone, pick simples. Simples are a kind of herbal, magical herbal remedy. Pick simples for a cancer, or on some advised night, see walking a dead one. For because he says some power or other will, something like some sort of power, power of some sort or other, that's the line, power of some sort or other will go on in games and riddles, seemingly at random, but superstition, like belief, must die. Superstition, like belief, must die. And what remains when disbelief has gone? That's the question he asks. It's a puzzling question on a number of levels. Like, what is that? What do you mean? Like, what remains when disbelief has gone?
Right. I don't even know. I feel like because for a majority of my life, it's just been surrounded by people who have belief in this.
Yeah, it's like the normal question is what remains when belief is gone.
Right.
But what remains when disbelief has gone? And
it's
also,
puzzling.
I have a number of listeners from Britain, so any British listeners out there, I want you to weigh in the comments on something, because there's something about this line that's always puzzled me. I want a British person to weigh in on this. So one weird thing about the line is exactly what you just hit on. Like, why is it disbelief instead of belief? Like, what remains when belief is gone? That would be we would understand that. So disbelief, the word disbelief is challenging in the line. But another, for me, challenging part of it is the word has. And what remains when disbelief has gone? Like to an American, it would seem much more natural to say when disbelief is gone. Has gone makes me think of like a person has left the room, like Elvis has left the building. Like like someone has gone. And for me, it makes disbelief feel almost like a ghost, like a presence that can, like a walking presence, like disbelief has gotten up and left the room,
Yeah.
And I wonder if it feels that way to a British listener, or if has gone is more natural. That's the kind of thing that might be said in British English. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm familiar with British English, but that's a nicety of British English I'm just not really up on.
Yeah.
But it is strange, right? Like has gone. What remains when disbelief has gone?
Trying to think of it in a British accent too.
Yeah. So it almost makes me, the reason I'm thinking about it is if disbelief is like a ghost, that I think might speak to Larkin's point, because he says, but superstition like belief must die. And so belief has more dignity to it, like your belief in like religious belief. Belief is kind of a grand word that has this like gravitas to it. But superstition, you've already downgraded the thing by then.
Absolutely.
Like it's like, do you really believe it? It's like a black cat crossed the ran across. Do people really believe that? Maybe, but they don't believe it like they believe in Christ. If they have that, if they had like a Christian belief. And so, if he's thinking about superstition, it does make you think about like ghost lore and apparitions, wraiths, haints, as we say in the American South. And so when disbelief has gone, I'm thinking it's like imagining a ghost that left, and now we don't even have the ghosts. And it's like if you are still let's say you were a Christian who lost your faith. The presence, like the faith-shaped void in your heart is there, and it's shaped like Christianity because that was your faith before you lost it. You remember what you lost.
Yeah.
And so you have disbelief. Like if you've become an atheist, you disbelieve, and so you're still in relationship with that belief. It's just you're actively disbelieving it.
Yeah, you're still holding on to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me as well, I grew up. My mother's really religious, and then eventually.
What kind? What?
She's non-denominational.
Like charismatic, or more like, do they speak in tongues? Or
yes. So I mean, the way she's described it to me is they want to follow everything strictly from the Bible, and yeah, so they'll speak in tongues. But she is part of those churches that do like the big rock performances at church and stuff like that. But big prayers. She has revelation nights or something like that. So she's really
Revelation
involved.
nights.
Yeah,
what is that?
It's a night where about 60 people come into my house, and they'll do a little bit. Sometimes they'll have members of the church that do worship and sing a little, play the guitar, and then the rest of it is just praying for each other. And it is a real community. I will give them that. They've even gone outside and done baptisms in my hot tub. So they really make the most of their.
So revelation in the sense that God's revealing himself at these meetings, or that we expect the Holy Ghost to be revealed.
Lots of speaking in tongues, lots of tears, lots of combustions of, of whatever. But yeah, so she's held on to that very strongly and tried to really push that on me. But I kind of grew out of that and I don't know, found my own way. I mean, for somebody who is not used to, I like my friends find my mother's behavior very interesting because they're not used to that. Whereas for me, it's another Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, my friends growing up would be downright scared if they came to church.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
what is happening?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, when I was about 16, I really kind of solidified myself as an atheist. But I do feel like I still have that kind of like grip on, like you're still holding on to something when you have disbelief.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that there's a literary critic named Zizek, and he has this awesome example that he gives sometimes. Well, actually, I may be doing something with it that he didn't intend, but nevertheless, I'm going to use Zizek's example. He was talking about that movie Ninochka, and has Greta Garbo in it. And he's like, in this film, the male hero, he stops in at a restaurant or a cafe or something and orders coffee without cream, and the server says, "Well, we've run out of cream. We only have milk. So is it okay if I bring you coffee without milk?" And it's a joke.
Yeah.
But what Zizek's, you can think about it. It's like, if you're thinking about the cream that's not there when you drink the coffee, that's arguably a different gustatory experience from the one in which you're thinking about the milk that's not there. Thinking about the thing that's not there means it's kind of is still there.
Yeah.
It's exerting its presence in some way, shape, or form. It's like it's asserting something, And so if you're an atheist, but you're a Christian atheist, like you're an atheist from Christianity.
Absolutely.
Christianity's still there, And a Christian atheism would be different from a Muslim atheism.
Absolutely.
So it's, I think so disbelief is still putting you in relationship with the faith that you lost. But if disbelief has gone, in order to have belief or disbelief, you have to be engaged with the question: is this thing real or not? If you're not even asking it, and that's sort of what that Larkin poem's about. It's like, what if we didn't even know what the cathedral was for? It was just passing by some, Celtic, rock sculpture or something, and being like, I don't know what all that stuff is. Then you're not even asking the question: is it real? Is it true? So you don't even really have disbelief. You're not even.
Don't even know to ask that question.
Right.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's a really interesting idea, because I would still say religion and Christianity still takes up a lot of space in my mind, even though I don't necessarily engage with it or I don't believe it. I do still think about it. It's still confronted with me in front of, when we're saying, in God we trust in America, it's everywhere. But it is an interesting concept to think of, what else would my brain be filling that space of religion?
Yeah.
Like, what else would be coming in while that's not even there?
If you were in a plane and knew it was going down, you think you'd pray?
You know what? That's actually a great question, because I've been through that before. Like, sometimes I'm getting really nervous. I'm like, well, if it's true, maybe this could help.
Let's err on the belief side here for the next 5 minutes till this plane goes.
No, my mom has always told me, she's like, you're gonna find God when you're at your lowest, at your bottom. And I was like, well, I hope I never really get there. That would be terrible. But sometimes you're like, what if this is, real, and you just kind of want to throw that out there. But if I didn't even disbelieve it, I would never think to, shoot that message up.
So, if you've fallen all the way to the point of not even having disbelief with respect to some former belief, maybe not your personal one, but like a cultural, something that your culture might have held at one point, a belief. If you're no longer even, you don't even have disbelief, then the movement from not having disbelief to disbelief might be like the movement from disbelief to belief.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm wondering, is our culture, with respect to the Tylwyth Teg lore of Wales, and I'm ethnically part Welsh, so this is like something that is back there in the ancestral memory.
Right.
It's like, if we're at the place where we don't even have disbelief with respect to the Tylwyth Teg, then to move from that to disbelief, to move from that to not seeing, might be the same distance as from disbelief to belief. And so the people in the folktales that I had read who had disbelief with respect to the fairies, but could go, or maybe disbelief's not right, they weren't seeing. They couldn't see the kingdom, the homeland, the magical island of the fairies, let's say. So they were in not seeing. But not seeing in the sense they know that they're not seeing. They're looking out there. And
Yeah, you're trying.
yeah. So if they step on the magical turf in Wales, they see the magical island glimmering in the distance in the ocean, you know? Mm-hmm. But maybe for us, if we step on that same turf, we go from not having disbelief to the not seeing, to where they were before stepping.
I see.
Because what I saw looked to me, from the descriptions I'd read, very like what the people in the folktales were seeing before they stepped on the magical turf.
Okay.
That was kind of like my reading of it. It's like I've been promoted to not seeing, you know?
Yeah.
And which was cool, you know? It's like cool to think about it like that.
Yeah.
And this is something back to the question about travel. I mean, you know, it's a quirky, eccentric thing to spend your day doing in Wales. Like you're in Wales, St. David's Cathedral is a tourist attraction. I mean, I can understand going to, you know, it would be touristy, just let's go to the cathedral,
Yeah.
and, you know. But to say I'm going to go out there and look for that magical piece of ground and see if I can see the homeland of the fairies, that's a pretty strange way to spend your day on a trip, you know.
Absolutely.
But I completely I encourage like all of our listeners, like travel like that. Like you know, if you're interested, like find something that is of consuming interest to you.
Yeah.
Even if everyone says it's crazy, it's weird, like you're wasting your day, you could have been doing all the cliches, you know, like you could have. I say do that thing that's like tugging at your heart, your imagination.
Yeah.
Because then after this happened, Kyle and I wound up going to what's thought to be a dolmen, like how to explain, like, you know, like Stonehenge type, you know, that you've seen these like standing rock arrangements in Britain. Well, there's a small one in Wales, very close to St. David's Cathedral. I mean, it's in the same regions in Pembrokeshire, in the same area. It's called Pentra Ifan. It's beautiful. This thing is so beautiful. I mean, there are, if I'm remembering right, there are 2 stones upright. There are actually 3 in the back, but one of them is not even touching the capstone up top. So on top of the 3, 2 in the back, 1 in the front, there's this capstone being supported by those 3. Back here on the back, there's one that's upright in between the 2 that are actually supporting the capstone. There's one in between those 2 that is not touching the capstone. So it gives the impression that the capstone's sort of floating.
Oh, wow.
And this is like a 16-ton stone. And yet it looks so light in a way. Like there's this strange paradox of earthiness because it's stone and ethereality because it's sort of floating in the air, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's something that makes me think of Wales, like earthy, rooted, all about the soil, the land, and yet the Tylwyth Teg, the flights of fancy, the poetry, and all, you know, the music, that ethereal kind of spiritual thing that's just in the air that you feel there. And man, this is, of all the things I've ever done, this was one of the most satisfying, like, wonder quickening experiences I've had traveling. And then I loved being out there. And they say dolmen because if you have this situation where you have the upright stones supporting the capstone, often this is thought to be a burial, it was a burial monument. But many people will tell you that about Pentra Ifan, that it was a burial ground, but actually they've never found human remains, nor have they found any funerary objects. And it's not clear to me that it was a burial ground.
Yeah.
So I went out there, and underneath the stones that are standing, supporting the one that's floating, they're stone like underfoot as well. And there's like a little platform. So you can imagine it. If you were approaching it from behind, if you walk up to it, there's a piece of stone under your feet that's just perfect for you to stand on. It's like it was made for you to stand there. Oh. But when you stand there, You're just face to face with a wall of rock. And then if you walk around that rock, you get in the heart of this thing. Like, there's still a stone out in front of you blocking your view. And by the way, the view here is absolutely
Stunning.
magnificent. I mean, it's just Wales is an incredibly beautiful country. Just the scenery is incredible. But you're still, so when you get in the kind of womb of this monument, this arrangement, you're looking at a rock that's blocking your view. Mm-hmm. And some people have called this the womb of Cerridwen, who's a Welsh goddess in Welsh folklore, and she was the goddess that could brew something called Awen. And I have episodes on this channel about Awen. It's this Welsh concept that I define as like the spirituality of imagination and the imagination of spirituality. It's both a spiritual and an aesthetic, poetic concept. But you could think of it as something like inspiration. And she could sort of cook Awen, and she did that in a cauldron because her son was hideously ugly. And she thought, well, if he's going to be ugly, I'm going to make him a brilliant poet, full of wisdom and poetic brilliance. Yeah. And if you cook this cauldron of Awen, some people think this is the real Holy Grail. If you cook this Awen, brew it up, the first 3 drops will give you the power of poetry. If you like put them to your tongue, mm-hmm. But you can't go beyond that because the rest of it's poison. Which is kind of an interesting idea there, you know. But while she had a servant boy named Gwion Bach stirring the cauldron, and 3 drops popped out on his hand, and they were really hot, and he licked them, and then he got the power of Awen. And she chased him, and they had this whole shape-shifting race where he would turn into, you know, this thing, and she, you know, a rabbit or something, and she would turn into a greyhound or, you know, whatever. He would turn into a fish, she would turn into an otter, et cetera, and they had this shape-shifting kind of race where she's trying to catch him. Mm-hmm. Finally, he shape-shifts into a grain of wheat, and she turns into a hen and eats him and is impregnated with his reincarnation, who became the legendary, amazing Welsh poet Taliesin. And there's a medieval Welsh manuscript, the Book of Taliesin, that's really fascinating and beautiful. And so this whole thing here is associated with poetry and the power of the other world. And actually, people say they see the Tylwyth Teg out at Pentre Ifan because it's like the womb of Cerridwen and the power of poetry and all that. And it's this mystical place. And you feel it when you're out there. You feel something. Mm. Like even our taxi driver that took us out there came out of the taxi and walked with us. He was like, I've been out here hundreds of times. I feel something out here I don't feel anywhere else. He's like, this is the best place to come in Wales. You know, he was telling us this. And Kyle and I both felt it so strongly. And so, I mean, that such a strong presence. And so you go from being in the back there on that little platform I told you about. This you could think, and I had just had the experience at St. David's that I was telling you about. And suddenly these 2 experiences were chiming with each other. Because I was like, back here is not even not seeing. This is like, you're 2 removed from seeing. Like that's when disbelief has gone, when you're in the back. Then you move to the middle and you're still blocked, but you're at least not seeing. You're one obstruction away, you know, from seeing. Mm-hmm. And then I moved around in front of that last rock that's holding up this like pointy end of the capstone and looked out on this beautiful, like kind of like fairy enchanted landscape, and saw my shadow out there on the grass, like gigantic, and then the shadow faded away, and it's as if I had undergone this whole movement of not even not seeing to seeing. Mm-hmm. And so, and I'll never forget those experiences. Like I would choose that any day over my Sistine Chapel experience. Yeah. And so I really believe in that notion of following your weird interests when you travel. I think there's something to be said for that.
No, I think it's also interesting. I feel like whenever I see people talking about how to get the best experience out of your trip is to kind of understand the culture that you're coming into. This last summer I went to India and went and saw the Taj Mahal and all those kind of like, did some more like the touristy stuff. But one of the things that we did do was go through New and Old Delhi. And we had a tour guide there, and just them taking us through the streets of India and explaining everything, and you really do get a grasp of their culture. It's almost like you're entering into a brand new world. And I mean, I'm just curious what that experience would have been like if I had maybe even done like a little bit of research beforehand to kind of understand what I'm walking into, and maybe it would have opened it up even more. So I think that it's a great idea to, whenever you're going and traveling, you're going and seeing these new things, to kind of learn how to appreciate the things that you're viewing, so that you can kind of really connect with it more. You're getting more bang for your buck, honestly.
Yeah, that's true. Like if you're going to a place, you can do that reading and kind of, watch movies, look at YouTube videos, whatever it takes to connect. And then also, I think there's something to be said for planning trips around interests that have arisen organically from your reading, or you listen to a podcast, whatever, like you came across some information that was compelling to you, or a story, like people have asked me, like, why are you going to Wales? I mean, like, you could go to Ireland, because people know about Ireland.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in Wales, so I'm not going to just be like, oh, I probably should go. Everyone else goes to Ireland, I just think I've learned the hard way that when I do that thing and just like do the thing that everyone says you should do, I just don't have as good an experience. It's not that they're always bad, but I've never had anything remotely as meaningful as what happened in Wales in these experiences that I'm talking about here. And those are only two things that happened on this trip. There were, a number of things like that. So yeah, there's something to that. I think that way of thinking about traveling.
Yeah. No, it's incredibly interesting. You found all these kind of like folk tales through like a book, or how did you kind of get into that?
Yeah, just I've always been interested in Welsh poetry, so I was interested in the Book of Taliesin, and that's where I found out about Gwion Bach and Cadwyn and all that. And then in Welsh literature, some of it not poetry, like the Mabinogi. There's a book called the Mabinogi that I was into, and then the scholar Ronald Hutton, he writes about British folklore, English, Scottish, Welsh, and he'll hit on the Irish as well sometimes. And then I just read a bunch of folklore books from Wales. I knew I was getting super into Wales, so I just got a bunch of books on Welsh folklore, started reading around in them, and I wasn't, I didn't feel the need to like know everything, read every book from front to back. I would just kind of read around and let my imagination catch on things, and something would just grab me, and I would think it would be incredible to go there and like experience this thing firsthand.
Yeah.
And I asked a friend of mine who lived in Wales. He's an American who studies Welsh and Welsh literature, is quite a significant and accomplished scholar of Welsh and Irish literatures. And I asked him, have you ever gone to Kenmais or St. David's churchyard to try to find the magical piece of turf? And he was like, I must say I have not. He's like, oh, I got this sense. He's like, are you some kind of kook? What's going on?
Did he cross his mind?
Yeah, which I totally get. Like he's also somebody who will go and travel and do the thing that's grabbing him. I mean, here's a guy that has has translated the Mabinogi, and it has a very good, actually quite a good translation. But he just had a slightly different orientation. But that's good. I mean, that's what it's all about, is finding the thing that you yourself are super into, that you think would be beautiful and enchanting and memorable and meaningful. Yeah. Well, thanks for helping me think about all this today.
No,
it's been fun to talk to you about it. And when I end this episode, here's what I've done, y'all. I've had some special GBD cards made, and I'm going to draw one at random, and it'll have a little prompt on the back, and Nicole is going to try to answer the prompt using something from our discussion today. So I'm really putting you on the spot here.
I think you're a little overestimating my ability of wit, but we'll see.
Maybe I'm gonna let you. I think it's better if you pick.
Okay. Well, this one's really sticking out to me. Mm-hmm. Let's see, in OS.
Oh, an OS, like an operating system. You know how they'll have all the names.
Oh no.
Let's do another one.
Okay.
That was too weird.
An operating system. Oh, a censored podcast.
A censored podcast.
What was that? What was that word that the guy?
Guillain-Barré.
Guillain-Barré. Sounds like
the Guillain-Barré podcast has been censored. They're just off the air. Is YouTube just completely taking them off the air?
It just sounds weird. So YouTube was like, absolutely not.
All right, good enough. Well, thank you, Nicole. Appreciate it. See you next time.
Yes,
see y'all next time.